The June 13 killings in Yelwata and Daudu communities in Benue State saw over 200 lives lost, thousands displaced, and entire families wiped out. The images and testimonies from Benue showed children orphaned, homes razed, and communities equally shattered.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation says 3,160 people were displaced, including 810 school-aged children. President Tinubu pledged justice, but what has changed? What is being done for the survivors? Joining us to shed more light on this discussion is Nigeria's Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Professor Nentawe Goshwe Yilwatda. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us this morning. Professor,
thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Professor Yilwatda, you acknowledged that 3,160 displaced persons in Yelwata alone. What concrete steps would you say the ministry has taken to ensure their safety, shelter, and access to basic services?
Yeah, thank you so very much for the opportunity to talk to Nigerians through your medium. First, let me acknowledge the resilience of the people of Yelwata, that despite in the midst of the tragedy that happened in the community, the people are settling, and there's a response from all quarters, from the international community, from the state government, from the federal government, the INGOs, and the United Nations systems, and several other partners are responding to that call. But first and foremost, when it happened, a week after it happened, the president was in Benue to assess and condole the people of Benue State, and he conveyed his condolences to the people of Benue State and interacted with the community and also engaged with the community on the way forward after the aftermath of the crisis. Also, 7 days later, Mr. President sent me back to Benue State to conduct a neat assessment of what happened in Benue State, which I did. Along with I invited also the international community, the United Nations systems. It was also led by the ambassador to the European Union in Nigeria, His Excellency Mignot Gautier, who also followed along with me to Benue State. And we conducted a complete and comprehensive assessment of what happened in Benue State. After the assessment, we also called for validation of the report that we did, so that all the international partners, the state government, the community leaders, the development association, all stakeholders were involved in a comprehensive assessment and the reporting of what happened in Benue State and the response plan. The response plan covered, number one, the humanitarian response plan, which covers things like access to livelihood, food, non-food item in the IDP camps, sanitation, and several other components we need to also cover. The second component covered peace building and social cohesion within the community that we found ourselves, how we can restore and bring peace to the community. The third component covered also the component that dealt with the people also have access to long-term solution, having access to land, how they can farm, how they can do businesses, how we can revitalize agriculture in the community, because most of them are farmers, and how we can also get them back on their feet to ensure that they have another chance to have life again. So these were the components that we conducted. But the good news also that comes along with it was that after we did the presentation of our report, the European Union committed 1.5 million euro yesterday, which is equivalent to about 2.4 billion naira. Now, this money is actually about 2.7 billion naira. Now, out of the money that we proposed of roughly about 6.7 billion. Now, there are other partners that are coming in. Federal government also making their contribution, and state government is also making their contribution. We are hopeful that we can raise this 6.7 billion naira to respond appropriately to all the issues that were raised by the community, raised by the state government, raised by international partners, raised by even federal government, staff that are on ground. So these are the plans and things we're doing to ensure that we tackle and use what happened in Yelwata as a case study of restoring peace, bringing long-term peace possibility to this program. We've already submitted our reports. The ones that have the security, we send to the security. The one that has to do with humanitarian will send to the humanitarian actors. The one that has to do with state government, federal government, local will send also to them also. And the one that has to do with development partners will send to them also. So everybody has an action plan on what to do concerning Yelwata, right, as I'm talking to you now.
Well, you've spoken about what the government has done, and this is not made known to a lot of persons. However, we also do hear, I don't know if you're aware, that News Central decided to have a town hall there. And survivors came and they bared their mind, they spoke. Some of them said that what they've heard are just, especially talks from the government quarters that, oh, we are going to do this for you, we're going to do this for you. And those who have lost their loved ones said they've not heard anything at all from the government. Can you shed more light what, your ministry has been able to do, and how are we certain that it will trickle down to the least person, if you put it that way, maybe the children who have equally lost their parents during the attacks?
Now, if you're in Yelwata, you discover that there are agencies of United Nations and international partners, INGOs, that are also already responding to this issue on ground. And the federal government also has said their own component of contribution through to the State Emergency Agency, that's SEMA, the State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, have already received what the federal government sent through NEMA. And federal government has already channeled their own contribution in terms of food items and non-food items that can help stabilize people in the IDP camps. That's the first response plan. And the second response was federal government to reinforce security within the community and ensure that people are protected and created safe zones for people to stay. There are primary schools that are called safe zones in the place, homes that are safe zones, that there's protection for the people within the community. And also the same thing with the IDP camps that are also safe zones. So creating of safe zones is part of the federal government response. Providing food items to them is part of part of the response of the federal government. Providing lighting within the camps to ensure that there's light within the camp is part of the response plan. Providing water in the ITP camp is part of the response plan. So there are several response plans that government has done in different ways, along with the partners. And partners are playing a key role. If you look at the footages of the video footages, I've been in the camp myself twice. I've been to all those locations. I've been to all the locations that the people are settling. I've been to the village itself. I did physical and one-on-one assessment with the community leaders, traditional leaders, youth leaders, women leaders. I was with them and we moved from home to home. All the homes that were attacked, all the families that were attacked, I had contact with them. I was in the hospital with them. I was in the villages with them. So I'm not talking from a point of view of somebody telling me, but I was physically present, at all the locations of where this crisis took place.
Now, Honourable Minister, with the 2025 Humanitarian Response Plan targeting $910 million to assist just 3.6 million people in northeastern Nigeria alone, and only 57% of last year's funding achieved, how is your ministry working to diversify and scale up both financing, scale up both international and domestic humanitarian financing, particularly in the face of shrinking donor funding, to continue the important work you're doing? Yes.
I agree with you absolutely that there's a lot of shrinking in the pipe is becoming narrower every day in terms of funding on humanitarian activities. UK has reduced their funding by 30%, France by almost 25%, Holland by about 25% or so, Netherlands by about 20%, and several US about almost 100%. And several most of the development partners, for example, the INGOs, they've shrunk their workforce by about 30% and the rest. But this is what government has done also. Government has responded in the budget also. For example, in the health sector, federal government increased the support to the health sector by almost 300 billion, because most of the funding from the US is to support nutrition and other health facilities, HIV and the rest, support for HIV and the rest. The federal government has responded by increasing the budget. The same thing with the humanitarian response plan also the government has done from its own end. But we're looking for new frontiers. new partners, new possibilities. If you check, I was in Qatar and other countries in the Asian world to see if we can develop new partners that can support us and so give us humanitarian support also. Government has also stepped up its own support. We've done also a roundtable within the country also to bring the private sector participation and donor partners within the country, because we have also a large economy that we can leverage on the economy to source for funding for humanitarian activities within the country also. So hopefully also we are doing another hosting in October, where we hope to bring all the development partners, humanitarian partners, and also the local partners within the country, and see if we can raise the private sector donation from Nigeria we can up that game and up those numbers and see if that can be a contributing factor. And we want to also go, hopefully, the long-term plan is to also have, a basket, what we call poverty reduction and humanitarian basket. That's funding that will be backed by law, so that we can have that basket to support all humanitarian and poverty reduction activities across the country. That's the long-term plan. But short-term plan is that October we're going to put a basket up that we can raise this funding and support activities within the country as a makeshift before we discuss the long-term activities on it.
All right. Thank you for sharing the short-term and the long-term plans regarding the basket. And I wanted us to still look at the long-term plans because so far I'm not hearing any physiological, psychological plans made for these people who have been survivors of trauma. Is that something that your ministry is looking into, ensuring that they're getting psychological support to maybe help them get better, process the trauma, and be properly reintegrated into society?
If you look at our peace building and social cohesion response plan that we did for Yelwata, number one, it covers the conflict mapping within the communities, and because we discovered that the conflict spans beyond Benue State. It spans from Benue into Nasarawa State. So most people were killed, some of them came from Nasarawa State, not actually from Benue State. So there's need for us to do conflict mapping and also do the assessment of the conflict and respond to it appropriately. So that's one part of what we want to do on that one. The second part is actually the trauma healing and creating of social healing for the people of the community. And that's where the psychological healing and all the rest will come in for us to, and creating also social healing forum and the rest. These are part of the response plan. And then the last component on that one is early warning and early response system that we need to design for these communities that have been attacked, so that we can have response. Even communities that have been attacked, generate areas that we discovered that this conflict is spanning into. We can create early response and early response plan for them. And that is what early warning and early response plan for them. That's what we're actually planning in terms of peace building and social cohesion within the community.
Now, Honourable Minister, let's talk about the heroes in the front line, the protection of humanitarian workers. Between 2000 and between 2020, I beg your pardon, and 2024, 79 humanitarian personnel faced violent attacks, including kidnappings and ambushes. What policies and coordination frameworks are in place to enhance safety and security of aid workers operating in conflict-affected zones?
Yes, these are the discussions we've been having with the security agencies. The CDS has been very, very helpful in that direction for us to work in coordination between the security agencies and the people providing humanitarian response to communities. And they've been helpful by creating those safe corridors for humanitarian activities and providing protection within those safe corridors. And for now, it has reduced to an extent, and there's almost within the last few months, we've not seen any of such experiences again because of those safety corridors and safety measures taken by the security agencies to ensure that all people providing humanitarian activities are protected also.
All right. I mean, there's one big question everyone is equally asking. How long is the government willing to allow issues like these continue to affect the people? And is there any hope in sight that the displaced persons who are now in the IDPs will one day return back to their homes? These are the questions everyone is asking, because I remember during the town hall, we found out that some persons have been staying in the IDP camps for as long as we can imagine. Is the government doing anything to ensure that they get back to their homes?
Very well. You know, if you check some of the footages that you review, it was a meeting I held in Gomboru Gala in Borno State at the boundary of Nigeria, Cameroon, and the Chad. And what happened in that town hall meeting is there are many Nigerians who have been displaced. We have over 100,000 of them that are in Niger, in Chad, and in Cameroon, who were displaced and they moved out of Nigeria into those countries. But because most of the communities are safer now, they've decided on to return back home. And we signed an MOU with Chad, we signed also with Cameroon, and waiting to tidy up the one with Niger very soon. Once that is, and already so people from Chad and Cameroon are already moving back to their own communities that they felt safe. We're working with IOM and UNHCR to ensure that all those things are done within safe corridors for them to live in. So communities that already we have safety for them, we're providing for them. We're also providing alternative home for them. You know, if you recall, we just launched one in Nasarawa State, where we have displaced communities in Borno State that they feel don't want to go back to the community again. We settle them in Nasarawa State. And there are some who are actually migrants from Cameroon who were displaced from southern Cameroon and they moved into Nigeria. We've taken them and brought them to that safe homes that we built in Nasarawa State. We're tidying up about 100 in Borno State, another 100 sort of homes also in Kano State. We're building some in Katsina State and also in Zamfara State. All these are homes of providing for those people that don't want to go back to the community and they want to stay in safe community and safe corridors. Those ones were providing for them. And because some of them, their homes have been destroyed and they can't even go back because they don't have resources to build a home. So when we talk of building homes for them, help supporting them to build homes for them. And the Borno State government has been very well in that respect. And we supported them with building materials to ensure that they also help in rebuilding homes to those places also. So these are the programs we're doing to ensure that we will return people back home. Even this Yelwata crisis, there's a component of rebuilding home for those people that they lost their homes and property. It's part of the response plan that we developed for them. And like I told you, already EU has responded, and we have more people are responding, and government itself is also responding. So once those responses are done, then homes will be built. And like I said, some have already been built. So we keep on building more. And we're also working in partnership with several other governments. Even in a state like the Kaduna State also, which are working with the Qatar Foundation to ensure that they build home for the people who are displaced. So there are programs already going on in several states of responding and ensure that people get back to their homes. And my job as a Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, coordinate these activities and ensure that they are properly coordinated, funding coming from overseas are properly utilized by state government agencies and people that have been given the responsibility to conduct those programs.
All right. Let's also talk about, how this is being framed. We're seeing here that there are certain bishops and victims who have referred to these unfortunate killings as an act of genocide. They said it's not communal violence. So how would you say that this framing is being addressed at the national level, and what sort of legal or policy implications follow this as well?
Like I just told you that part of the response plan was this peace building component, which is the conflict mapping. Now, when we did some finding about the crisis, we found out some of the underlying issues and some of the driving factors, which since for now they are claims, we have to ensure that we do proper mapping, we do proper that's conflict mapping, and bring out the real underlying issues, look at the driving factors to ensure that the factors go beyond the killing. We did some preliminary findings, and preliminary findings has helped us to give the security agencies some of these response that they need to do. And believe you me, the security agencies are actually doing their best to ensure that they respond to some of these issues that we've already raised, and community has already raised in that respect. But conflict mapping is sacrosanct for us to actually find out the underlying factors and the driving factors that are creating this crisis in the communities.
Now, Honourable Minister, the rains are here. The rainy season is upon us, and we're still reeling from the effects of the tragic floods in Mokwa, Niger State. What concrete measures is your ministry taking to strengthen early warning systems and improve infrastructure resilience to prevent future flood disasters in high-risk states such as Niger, Rivers, Kwara, and Borno, or is that beyond the purview of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation?
It's within our purview. Actually, the president set up a team, anti-displaced response team in that respect, and it's headed by the vice president. I'm a member of that team. The NSA is a member of that team, and most of the agencies of government that provide information on either climate-related issues and some of the agencies that can help in responding to emergencies are all part of this program. And we've developed a framework for anticipated response plan for flooding, in the country. The report we presented today to the vice president, and myself, the NSA, and the rest will be there to receive the report. We're hopeful that we'll use that report to now plan for all the early response plan that we need to do. Number one, we're looking at the water level from the Nigerian Hydrological Agency. We're looking at the climate issues data from NIMET. So if this data are, all these predictions are given to us, then we can now plan a early response plan for these communities that will be affected. With that, we can map all the communities that they have the possibility of flooding this year. Once the mapping is done, and then we cannot provide early warning. We also have a social register that covers all the communities in Nigeria. And we have people, so which means we can, through those numbers, verify telephone numbers and contacts, we can actually warn people ahead for them to either move from their community, or if there's possibility of flood, we can actually ask them to go to safe corridors, and we can provide safe corridors for people actually to move to where they can actually have livelihood when there's an attack or there's a disaster.
All right, my final question on this would be that it's got to do with the reality on ground and what people are equally saying. And let me just read it through. You recall that the court had actually ordered the former late President Muhammadu Buhari's minister to explain where 729 billion naira disbursement funds indeed went to. How are you ensuring that the disbursements of these either funds, materials, and so on are indeed done in a way that Nigerians can see that there's no hidden truth, or there's no, let's talk about just transparency, because this ministry has equally gone through a lot of, challenges in terms of how it disburses funds, how it uses funds to meet the needs of those who are in critical condition?
Let me thank you for that question. But if you observed, in the last 1 year, the minister has been quiet. There's no much noise that used to accompany the ministry. All those conflicts that accompany the ministry, they've all gone. And this is the simple reason. The president directed that there should be no cash disbursement again. So what did we do? First and foremost was to get the social register verified. So we did a verification of all the people who are on the social register. We have 19.7 million households on the social register, covering about 71 million people for the social register. Now, for now, we've verified about 6 million households out of the 19.7 million households. For you to benefit from the conditional cash transfer, you must be verified. Your home must be geotagged so we can locate and know your home. Number two, you must have your account number. Number three, we must have your verified telephone number and verified NIN, national identity number. We must also give you an account, and all those data, along with 138 data sets that normally are captured, are all captured and verified. And a computer will be used to generate and scale up the people and now assess your level of poverty based on the 138 data set that are captured about every person that will verify him in his home. All those data are normally aggregated and used to predict people that are poor. Now, that's what we use to pay the people. With that number, there are people that we discovered that we couldn't verify them, so we've dropped them from the social register. There are people that we discovered that they are not within the poverty level. We've dropped them also. So this form we've done, and we've lost almost about 5% of the people that are on the social register due to these factors alone. So this has helped us to ensure that we clean up social register, we make it more dynamic, we make it to respond to poverty issues in the country much more better. And also payments are done only people with verified account number. So there's no cash transfer again in any form. So people who quietly get their money, you get an alert, you just go to the bank or you get a POS and you just go and pick your money and utilize it. Now, what is the advantage of this? First is financial penetration. We have out of 19.7 million households, then less than 30% of them were having accounts. Today, all the 19.7 million people are having a verified account. Like you are saying that out of roughly only about 3.something million people that were having an account, which now you are having new set of people, or roughly about 16 million new account holders across the country that have been generated, and mostly rural communities that were not having an account before. 2, that's financial penetration. 3, more financial services are being penetrated. Because of that, more POS are also penetrating into rural communities. Because it's only when you have customers that you can now get to the communities for you to penetrate. Now, because we have more people who are accessing this funding, there's more financial penetration taking place in the villages. A World Bank conducted a research on early this year, and their finding shows that before now, it takes over an hour on average for a rural person to access financial services. But with what we've done now, it has reduced to less than 20 minutes for people on average for a rural person to access financial services through either a bank or a POS. And these are huge numbers for the country and a huge part of the economy. 3, it has actually penetrated and also reduced poverty across rural communities especially. Imagine in the community that you have 1,000 people benefiting from 75,000. It means you've dropped 75 million in that village that can boost economy, can boost trade, can boost agriculture, can boost rural economy. So there's a huge number of people in the rural community that are benefiting from this program, because most beneficiaries are actually the rural poor. And it has actually increased production, it has increased participation in the economy for them. So these are activities we are doing that has actually made it more quiet than before. So you may not hear the noise of seeing us on TV sharing money, because you don't need to do that again. So that's what we've done to improve transparency, improve also the response of government to the economy, and building a responsive economy in the rural communities.
All right, our final question would be, if you had the opportunity to address the survivors of these traumatic incidents, what would your words to them be?
You know what I tell them? I share with them that 1981, my father was in Benue State during the Metasine crisis. I was also displaced and I experienced it. 1991, my father was transferred to Bauchi, and we were in Bauchi during the Bauchi crisis. Our house was burned. We lost everything we ever had. We survived it. I was IDP camp for over a month. Today, I'm a Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. Through resilience and rebuilding of my life all over again. I was telling them that there's hope and there's light, beyond today. And sharing my experience with them, especially in detail, how I survived, how I've lived, how without education within this period, I've lived beyond today. It has been a big booster for most people that I've talked to them.
All right, Honorable Minister, thank you very much for joining us, and well done on all the work you're doing in terms of bringing succor to these victims, or rather survivors, and we hope to have less incidents like this so we can channel the humanitarian efforts to other people, because there'll be less incidences of insecurity. But thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for your time, Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much.